Do you have a staff member that always seems to be down? No matter when you come into the office, they're sort of discouraged and on the borderline of depressed and just sort of down. Or is that you? It's like you get down easily. You get on, or do you have one that's on an emotional roller coaster? It's sort of one day they're up, next day they're down. Next day they're up, next day they're down. And let me just draw you a quick picture. Some people, and this was actually me to an extent, but it was a staff member to even a greater extent. They're sort of up and down and up and down. They're sort of like this emotionally. And the tool I'm going to show you today is one that, once you really understand it, make that go this way. We all have sort of up days and down days, but the emotional roller coasters, I would call it, really flattens out. It gets to where the ups and downs aren't nearly as disruptive as they are with all these wires. If I trip myself and end up on the floor, just relax, I'll get back up and we can go again. I had he was a staff person. We were flying one day somewhere, and he said, "Bob, it's always good to be with you because you're such an upper to me." Well, the last thing I plan to be for you or anyone is an upper. It's like I don't plan to sort of prop you up all the time and get you up all the time, and every time we're together, it's like I'm giving you up things that'll keep you up and pump you up. It's just not who I am. And we flew along for about 20 minutes, and I thought, why does he think of me as an upper? I'm not an upper person. And then I realized what had changed, what had really happened, is that I said, Ron, you know, when we're together, I don't think I'm an upper for you. I think I always bring you from down back to reality, just back to neutral. And to you, that feels like an upper. And what I drew on the paper was this. And let me just pass this around. It's actually on your app now. Is a diagram, but let me just give you a copy of it. I'll just pass this around in sort of this size. It may be on your iPhone or on your computer, but just pass it along the row, if you will, so that everyone can just get a peek at it at a little bit larger size than on your iPhone or your iPad. But I drew 3 circles. And these circles, when I began to think about it, I thought, you know, this could be an interesting exercise, not only for him, but for me. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to do this for myself. Since then, I've drawn it for many, many, many people. And it's just 3 circles that connect something like this. And the upper circle is a positive circle, meaning everything is positive and up and doing well. The middle one is a neutral circle. It isn't up or down. It's just sort of there. And then the bottom circle is a negative circle. It's just sort of negative thinking, depression, discouragement, whatever. And where these overlap, this is real positive. This is neutral or reality. This is just sort of the reality circle, and then this is the negative. This is what I call blue sky. This is things that are positive, meaning they haven't happened yet, they may never happen. They're just thoughts that are blue sky for someday. Someday we'll have 10,000 people at our events, not 10. You know, that kind of, it hasn't happened yet, but someday it will. It's sort of like, it's imagination, it's possibility, it's someday. And then the reality is, this is just what's happened. This is actually, does this actually help? Is this actually, okay. The middle one is reality. And some of this is real. This is reality. And some is positive reality, meaning we got it started, We have X number of dollars coming in. We have X number of people attending our events. We see X number of people coming to Christ. This is positive reality. I mean, this is actually happening. This is good. Some of it is neutral reality. We have a building. It's in here. We have a building. We have one or two staff persons. It's positive. It's happening. It's good. But it isn't someday, and it isn't depression. It's just sort of neutral. I have a car. It isn't new, but it's not a junker. It's got a couple dents, but it's not crashed. It's just a car. And then some things are negative reality, and some things you basically say it's realistic. My mortgage is more than I think I'd like it to have. My car's getting some age on it. It's reality, but it's sort of negative, but it's realistic. It's real. And then some things are what you'd call sort of blue or discouraged, in that it's below negative reality. It's like, it'll never be better. It'll never be better. I'll never have a staff. I'll never have a good car. I'll never make all these mortgage payments. I'll never be married. It's like, it isn't real, but it feels like it'll never happen. Or it's a phobia, like everyone's against me. It isn't real, but it feels like it is. That's negative. That's it'll never happen down here. And then on the bottom of this is what I call suicide. I spoke at a singles group one night, and I realized that there was one particular person that was very, very discouraged. It wasn't just a phobic fear of failure or no one likes me. It was like, it's never going to get better, and I'm getting out of here. It's like, I could tell it was really, really bad. So I said, you've got to put a bottom, sort of a top on the bottom. You've got to just chuck this full of scripture verses, and you can't go down here. You've got to have friends you can get together with. Don't go down in suicide at all. Don't go even down in that thinking. Now here's sort of a reality kind of check. And as I would encourage you to spend about 85% of your time somewhere in reality. It can be positive, it can be negative, it can be neutral. But realistically, this is where I am. My view is that it's okay to spend 10% of your time up here in blue sky, just dreaming of what someday may be. It's okay to just dream about something that isn't real at all. It may not even be realistic. Someday we'll have billions of dollars. Someday we'll have thousands of staff. Some days we'll be worldwide. It's like, it may never happen, but it's okay to dream about what could be someday. And here's what I think may be good news for you. It's okay to spend, in my opinion, 5% of your time just discouraged, just sort of depressed. And it's okay, from my perspective, to spend 5% of your time down here in the blue where it isn't real. But it's okay to feel discouraged occasionally. If it isn't, we're all in trouble, because we all get that way. You may say, well, leaders don't get that way, do they? I say, absolutely they do. Some of the finest leaders I've ever known get discouraged. By the way, let me explain what discouraged is. If you look at a flat plane, anything that makes you encouraged, you're getting more hope for the future. And anything that is discouraged, when you get less hope for the future, you get discouraged. It's encouraged is more hope for the future. Anything that gives you more hope for the future is encouraging. Anything that gives you less hope for the future is discouraging. Let me tell you what disillusionment is. Sometimes we get disillusioned. That's down in that negative part. Disillusioned means I had an illusion to begin with. You cannot be disillusioned without an illusion to start with. In other words, I had this illusion that this person could be trusted, and it turns out they can't. I'm disillusioned with that person. I had an illusion that they were trustworthy, but it turned out to be an illusion. And when that jumped up to reality, I became disillusioned with that person. Let me tell you what depressed is from my perspective. Depressed is it will never get better. The feeling that it'll never get better. Not only is it bad, but it'll never get better. I'm depressed. Now, let me share with you what causes a fair amount of depression, which if you ever find yourself in a depression, or a staff find themselves in a depression, let me share with you what to check, what to double check. Depression is anger turned toward yourself. Often, when you get angry but you can't express it, you turn it on yourself, and that gets you depressed. So if you ever get feeling depressed, ask, am I angry at something? And find out what I'm angry at and deal with the anger. The depression often goes away. You just come back up. But now, let me show you the 3 circles and how to look at them. Because I studied my own patterns for about 6 months one time, and I would encourage you to do the same. If you are in a situation where you have this roller coaster emotions, or if you have a staff person that has roller coaster emotion, if your spouse has roller coaster emotions, here's what I'd suggest you do. First of all, just study your patterns, and I would suggest that you get a sheet of paper about this size. I mean, a big flip chart size piece of paper. Draw the big circles, but then put down with a small pencil, as small a writing as you can read and understand, and understand when you get back to it, all the thoughts that are blue sky for you. And then all the positive reality you can put in here. All the neutral reality, all the negative reality, and then sometimes what makes you blue. If you will study that for a while, you begin to see that there are patterns in when you get down. What begins to happen is, if you'll study it carefully, you'll see that you begin to move from just reality, and it's like a whirlpool. It starts up here, and you begin sort of thinking a little bit negatively, you get discouraged. And you get down here, sort of focused on negative reality, and all of a sudden it just sort of leads down into here. But if you'll check it right about here, you say, wait a minute, I'm getting down. I'm feeling discouraged. And when you get down to here, get sort of down in your negative reality focus, and then get down into discouraged, force your thinking to go back to positive reality. Just force yourself to go back and start reviewing some of this up here. Everything hasn't gone down. Everything isn't, sort of falling apart. Some of these things are doing well. And matter of fact, even peek up into blue sky. Just sort of peek. Don't come up here and stay, but come up here and look at this, and what you're going to find is that this whirlpool just starts coming back to reality. Now, I had a person, I explained this one time to a fella, and he said, Bob, that's not my problem. I don't get stuck in negative reality, depression, discouragement, disillusionment. He said, I get stuck in blue sky. He said, I get stuck up here, and man, I can stay up here for days, just dreaming and not coming down to reality at all. He said, I can get stuck up here. And the whirlpool reversed itself, and he could get up to here, and all of a sudden it was positive, and all of a sudden it was clear up in here, and he wouldn't come down to deal with reality at all. I say, then come down. When you get up here, look at this down here. Look at not depression, but look at negative reality. Look at some of the bills that aren't paid. Look at something, and just force yourself down here. Now, ask yourself this. You may be asking me, say, Bob, why do I even study this? When you are reporting to someone else, often they control this for you. You get down, they force you to get up. You get up, they force you to get down. But when you become the leader of the pack, and there's no one you're reporting to, they may be 300 or 400 kilometers away, and you are sort of responsible to lead the team. And you're looking at Monday morning and say, by Monday morning, I really need to be up. I need to be encouraged more than I need to be down and depressed and disillusioned and discouraged. How do you How do you sort of work where you can get yourself up? You don't have to wait for someone to come around and get you up. That's how I did it. That's how a lot of people have done it. Now, is this making sense to you generally? Is that making sense to you generally? So if you look back at your outline just a minute, now that you understand that in general, by studying your patterns, you can catch your spirals early, have a friend to call if you get depressed or down. In other words, if you get down and stuck down in that depression or discouragement, have a friend you can call. And avoid the emotional roller coaster. It's a key to controlling yourself, staying out of the ditch emotionally, staying out of that negative reality, negative unreality for so long, and focusing on the positive. Positive results toward your dreams. Anytime you can actually see results up in here, up in the positive reality, it sort of encourages you to move up toward your dreams. Your dreams are actually up in here. Everyone needs a dream or dreams, something that someday may come true. What your dream is, a dream is the difference you hope to make sometime before you die. Your dream is up in here too. And every time you see positive results, things that happen, things that you actually get done, sort of move you in your thinking up toward your dreams and think, my dream may be realistic after all. I think we can actually get to what we've been thinking about. I think the difference we were hoping to make, we could actually see that happen. We could actually make that difference. It's encouraging to you to move toward your dreams. Let me give you a principle that you can count on, and that is this: nothing motivates like results. Goals don't, threats don't. You can threaten your staff, you can force them to set goals, you can do all kinds of things hoping to motivate them. But nothing motivates like results. And so all the results you see, if you can put right here in the positive reality, up here in the positive reality, then when you get reality here, you get sort of down, you get even discouraged, and you look back up at the results that you see here, you think, you know what? I think with these results we can actually still accomplish our dreams. Keep enough blue sky to keep a positive focus and keeping a positive focus worth it. In other words, keep enough up in here in the positive reality that you think, you know what? These dreams that we've got really could happen. The other thing you want to see is that your dreams are what provide natural human energy. There are a lot of forms of energy. There's electrical energy, there's solar energy, there's caffeine energy. There are a lot of forms of energy. But what gets you out of bed, actually in the morning, there are two ways you get yourself out of bed, realistically. Now, if I don't have this microphone, for those of you out here, it sounds like this. And so those of you in the back can hardly hear. So by having this, I have a one-handed approach to speaking. But, thank you. The way you motivate yourself is one of two ways. When you're here, you either look at your past and you have a sense of being driven and pushed by your past, or you look at your dreams of what could be in the future and you're pulled into the future. You're either pushed by your past or pulled by your future. Pushed by the past is a sense of drivenness. That is a cruel taskmaster. When you have a sense of I'm driven, you can't let go of it. It's frightening, it's threatening, it's you'll never amount to anything. You're going to be a failure in life if you don't kind of stuff that comes out of being driven by your past, of people who said you were dumb, or people who said you'll never amount to anything, or people who said it'll never work. And when you're driven by that, there's no place to rest. It's like driven. So you get up in the morning, the first thing you hear is, you're dumb, you'll never make it, that kind of stuff. That's not a good world to live in. But if you can sort of deal with that and resolve some of that, but focus on the future of someday we will have this, that's what you want to use to get you out of bed in the morning, is a sense of being pulled into the future by your dreams. And basically, this is what you want to have on your emotional balance chart. You want to have your dream up here so that when you're in reality, it keeps pulling you up toward your dreams. It is not just pie in the sky by and by. It is not just, it'll never happen. But it is a sense of the dream of the difference we hope to make, or I hope to make sometime before I die, or our team can make before we die or before we part friends. That's a dream. And you want your dream to be pulling you, not fears of the past. And again, I would tell you, no one keeps a positive attitude all the time. Not one person you've ever met keeps a positive attitude all the time. There's a man named Art Williams who started a big company that made a lot of money over time. He said, "Man, I keep trying to have I'd like to have a single day where I was positive all day long." Now here's a guy that whenever he spoke, he was a Mr. Positive Attitude kind of thing. He said, I've been working on it for years, trying to have a positive day all day long. He said, so far I've gotten to 9 o'clock in the morning. And here was Mr. Positive. Didn't get past 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm saying, don't even try to be positive all day long. You won't get there from here. But to the extent that you can, stay in here and stay up in here as much as you can. But don't spend your time down here. Now, you can also fill all of this with Scripture to the extent that you care to. In other words, have a section where you basically over here can put Scriptures, over here put Scriptures, over here put Scriptures, over here put Scriptures, and just basically as you read, you can put Scriptures by this to sort of keep eternal perspective on your current life and your current situation, because it adds a whole different dimension to it. But I'm saying just taking a little bit of time out of each day for 6 months, you'll see what a difference this makes to keep emotional balance. So when you're starting out, start at the top. Start when you're filling this out the first time. Start up here of all the dreams you've got. Go down here to the positive realities. Go to then just the neutral reality, and then go ahead and fill in the negative reality, and then go ahead and fill. What you're going to find is there are 2 or 3 things that whenever you think about those, you start to get down. They're just patterns. They're things that all your life, so to speak, whenever I start thinking about that, I start to get down. I don't know how many you'll have, but it turned out I had 2. And it's like whenever I had those, I started just drifting down. Whenever I thought that, I'd start drifting down. And so I put those clearly here, and then whenever I started thinking, even began remembering those down in here and started in that whirlpool of going down, I just forced myself, got this page out and forced myself to think here, and this whirlwind began to just reverse itself out. And after doing that for about 6 months, I found that it really didn't happen very often. I mean, it was like, it would happen once in a while. It still happens once in a while. But I'm saying it wasn't nearly as often as it was originally. Start at the top, go to the bottom, study it over 6 months, spend 80% of your time in the reality circle, 10% blue sky, 5% discouragement, 0% suicidal. Remember, the emotional balance chart is for your personal use. What I mean by that is, plan to fill this out and do not show it to a soul other than yourself. It's for you personally. Put whatever is real there, not what you don't want other people to see, so you won't put it on there. Because no one's going to see it but you. Just have it as a personal, very private thing. Once you get familiar with it, from my perspective, you can write a book on it, I don't care. It's like, you can show the world, I don't care. But I'm saying initially, have it just for you, so that you put what's really in your heart here, so you can really study what's really going on within you. And then, like I say, once you get to where your emotional roller coaster is flattened out a lot, you can show it to anyone you want. And then you can use it. I've probably drawn this on 200 napkins maybe. In a restaurant, someone will be talking, and I just draw this and I say, get a piece of paper like this. It's an easy tool to explain to someone, really. It takes us 20 minutes or something like that, but the reality is in a restaurant on a napkin, it can take 10 minutes, and you don't have to have all of it. Just explain some of it, and it really helps people. So it can help your staff. It can help your brother or sister that's going through discouraging times. If they just got a divorce, and they're down here blue, thinking, I'll never date again, my life is ruined. It's like, I'll never have a house again because the mortgage, it's like, when they're down in here, just draw this for them. Help them see, wait a minute, there are still some positive realities. There are still some neutral realities. There's still some negative realities, but it isn't all down here. Someone loses their position. They get fired. Draw this for them. And just help them see a perspective on, because when they get a divorce, when they lose their job, when they, some of those kind of things that people go through, they live right here for a while. It just feels like nothing will ever work again. But when you show them this and draw some of this stuff out, it's hard for them to imagine this can ever be, but the reality is there is a lot of this up here in reality that, like my friend said, it's such an upper to be with you. Whenever I'm with you, it's an upper. I say, no, when some friend is going through a divorce or just lost their position, you're not an upper, you just bring them back to reality. All is not gone. There's part of stuff that's still reality to them. Does that make sense? And I would say one more thing. This is available. This tool is available to you 24 hours a day. You get up in the middle of the night and can't sleep, and it's like in the middle of the night sometimes it feels like nothing's ever going to work again. Get it out, unfold it from your drawer somewhere, look at it again, it restores your perspective. But it's available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, for the rest of your life. You can draw it whenever you get discouraged. You can draw it for anyone else that you ever encounter. And it will help restore your emotional balances 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. That's a tool you can use in helping yourself or helping any friend, or even like if you're leading a youth group or a singles group or a young married group. Teach them this, because it can be helpful to them in helping their mate restore balance or whatever.